So good morning, everybody. I hope the screen is visible and I am also audible. So this session we have done for resume building or resume writing. So firstly, why are we doing this? Why is resume writing important? So why is because two reasons. So the first reason is in many places, the first round itself is a resume shortlisting. So for that, you need to have a good resume. Secondly, when you're in an interview, they don't know you, so they feed off your resume. So whatever you have in your resume, that's how they get to know you and ask questions based on it. So this is why having a good resume is important. And now let's see more about it. So this is the agenda for the resume writing session. uh, Next slide. So firstly, a disclaimer. Resume writing is subjective. So not everybody is going to have the same idea that this is the correct one or this is the exact correct thing. So it's very subjective. Somebody may like something, somebody may think this is wrong. So it varies from person to person. But what we are going to talk about is what is most generally accepted. So this is what is everybody thinks is like correct. So, but also the next point, do your own research. So don't go on what we say, don't take it as ultimate truth, but also look up on your own. Finally, you know what is best for you. So do your own research, and resume writing is subjective. And yes, so we are also just 1 year older than you, so don't consider us experts. So now, firstly, how do you make a resume? So how do you make a resume? You have these three options. Firstly, you can use LaTeX. So Overleaf is a software which you can write LaTeX resumes. So this is very simple also, and it looks very nice also. And it's generally accepted. So Overleaf is one method. So you have to use LaTeX language for that. And I guess you have to learn that for writing reports and stuff like that. So it is good that you can use this also for your resume. And another very common one is Word. So you already have templates on Word as well. So go for that also. The third one is get creative. If you wish, you can create a personal website or a portfolio. It's usually it's better to have a normal one as well. This can be a second option, but it is also something you could do. So this is how to make one. Going to the next slide. So this is the Overleaf website where you can see the templates. You just have to replace the names and all the content with your own content. So you have everything ready for you. And it's very simple as well. So this is one way. So now Anaga will take over.
So good morning, everybody. So like you have like there's a there are certain things that you have to include in a resume, like certain major things that has to be in every resume. So the first one is you have to describe yourself, like what you are, and it can only be for a sentence. That's more than enough, especially if you're a student. So you can say you're a student. You're looking for opportunities wherein you get to learn, and you can add just one sentence as your description, or that can be your objective or something like that. And secondly, you have to include your college, the degree you're pursuing, and your year of graduation. Also, this GPA, it's optional. It's very depending on your GPA, you can include it. If it's above 7.5 or something, which is considered as good, you can include it in your resume. So the next section, when you go to, you have to include your out of the classroom experience, like what internships you have done, what projects you have done, or the courseworks and the workshops you have attended. Like if you have done courses on Coursera or any online courses, you can include those things. Also, give first priority to internships. If you have all of these, first put your internships, then put your projects, and then put your courseworks. So this is something that I believe will help you boost your resume. So the next point in your resume should be the skills you have achieved, what all you have learned. So basically that will be your technical skills, like what you have worked on. If you have worked on Arduino, you can add that as your skill. If you know a language well, you can add that as your skill. And obviously most people will know all the Microsoft Office softwares and other things, so you can add all these there. And coming to the next one, additional skills and achievements, is like if you have won any sports competitions, or if you have been if you have topped some exam, like in your school time, like Olympiads and things like that, you can also add those things. And after all these, you can add your extra work, like extracurricular activities and volunteering things, where you volunteer, what you have done, and how much you have given back to the society. Like especially in HR interviews, this part of your resume is focused a lot. So these are the main things that you have to like very compulsorily should be in a resume, in a good resume. Okay, so going to the next slide. Okay, when you write a resume, there are a lot of mistakes that people usually do, knowingly or unknowingly. So these are like some of the common mistakes or common things that people should give attention to. So basically, your resume has to be very simple, and it should be easy. It should have a good font, which is easy to read. So as soon as you see a resume, people should not squint and see what you're trying to do. It should be neatly aligned, and your talent should be highlighted. So first is it should be simple, and it should not have like too many colors or too many too many different fonts, artwork on it, and all that. It should be very simple and easy to read. Next thing is make sure you don't have any typos in your resume. As soon as you see a mistake, please correct it. Use spell checkers and everything that is available, and make sure there are no spelling mistakes or anything like that. And also make sure the grammar you use in your resume is proper. And the next point is it should be organized. You should not be putting one project at the top, one project at the bottom. Like it should go in a particular order. And you should put the latest experience first, and the oldest experience in the last. So suppose you have done, say, some 3 internships in every year. So the latest internship should go at the top, or latest project should go at the top, and later you should put the older ones. Also make sure that you write during which period, like which dates you've done it, like at least the month in which you have done the internship or done the project. That is also very important. And as soon as the interviewer sees your resume, he should be able to figure out what you have done. Like you should highlight the things which you're good at in your resume. Like suppose you have done one project and you know everything about it. Make sure that that project is highlighted. So as soon as the interviewer sees your resume, that should catch his eye, and he will ask you questions based on that. So this will work to your advantage, because once he sees something good in your resume, the interviewer tends to ask question on the same things. So you will also be able to answer everything which he asks. So that will be a plus point, and you can crack the interview. The next point is you have to focus on what skills the job requires, and you have to highlight those skills in your resume. Suppose you apply for a say like a marketing job, and then you have all the skills listed as the technical skills. So that won't really help you get your job, right? So the question will come like, why have you applied for a marketing job when you've done so many technical things like coding and things like that? So that is sometimes those questions are very hard to answer. So make sure that your skills you have listed in your resume are very much relevant to the job description. Okay, and make sure you have a small resume. Don't make it too long just because you have everything, you've done a lot of things. because people will get bored reading it. So you should just highlight the important points. Mostly one page resume is preferred, but since we are all freshers, you can maximum have 2-page resumes. Okay, and then make sure you use readable fonts. Don't use fonts like the handwriting fonts you get and things like that. That is not very easy to read. So make sure it's all readable and very neat, very organized. Make sure you leave some margin and don't fill up the resume too much. There should be some white spaces. You have to balance the white spaces and your text. Okay, so make sure it's very neat.
So now that you have your resume ready, how do you make it better? Firstly, please save your file name with a proper name. So it should, when you see the file name, it should be known that it's yours. And occasionally you can also, if you're applying for a certain job, you can also add the job ID onto the name. But ideally, don't name it just resume.pdf or something, because recruiters will be downloading a lot of such resumes, and yours is just going to be resume parentheses 1. So that's not a nice thing. So always name it properly. Next, so you could do this. It's optional. So you can tailor make your resume for the job. So like Anaga was telling about that, it's too much work, but you could do it. And this increases your chances also. So the next thing is know everything in your resume. Uh, don't lie about anything, because it's very easy to know that if you don't know something, it's very obvious. So you should know every line, every word, what you have written in your resume. You should know everything about it, and you should know details about it as well. So always just don't lie in the resume. And you should include a lot of keywords, because generally when you apply for a job, they have a software which searches for these keywords that the job requires. So that will increase your chances as well. So because of this, don't use different fonts, so it won't recognize those fonts also. So use normal common fonts. Next, you might have seen this. Try not to use progress bar for your skills. Just put it as a skill, or don't put it at all. Don't use progress bars which says you're 85% or 75% in it. Don't rate yourself. It never goes well. So leave it at that. Either keep the skill or remove it. And the next point is always keep updating your resume. So if you have a new project, if you have a new internship, you have to put it in your resume, because in the interview they might ask you what are you doing right now, and if you say you're doing an internship which is not in your resume, then they're going to think you're irresponsible because you have not updated your resume. So always update your resume. And keep your next point is keep your resume in the PDF format. So don't generally this is the most accepted, so go for PDF format. Try not to use Word at all. Convert it into a PDF format and then send it. So that's important. And since now everything is online, you could include links to your either GitHub profile, or if you have uploaded your project somewhere, so you could put links. So that would help. That would be useful. The last point is quantify your achievements. So basically, if you have done something, give it a number. So if you have done some activity or something, you should say that. You should not just mention the activity, but you should say how it changed, or like the statistics of it. So if you conducted a workshop, for example, so you could mention that I conducted the workshop for about these many people and such for this much duration. So that always helps your resume. So quantifying helps. So these are some ways you can make your resume better.
So these are a few example resumes. So you can see that this person has highlighted number of projects he has done, and then he has highlighted the skills and separated what languages he knows, what framework he knows, the tools and soft skills he has learned. So as soon as you see this resume, you will be able to differentiate what is what, and you can just pick out any random thing and and the interviewer can ask because it's very visible. And then he has highlighted all these projects as project 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the interviewer will know what to ask, and he can pick any one of these and ask questions very easily. Also, see, you can see after the project 1, he has mentioned what language he has used, framework, what kind of database he has used. So you can also include something like this. As soon as you mention a project, you can write the keywords which you've keywords like what you have learned, what all you have used, which software you have used, and things like that. And later you can explain what the project does. And so education, this person has put it at the end because his projects carry more weightage. He believes that the projects he has done is a lot is very good. So he has put his education at the end. So as soon as somebody sees this, they'll be like, okay, this person has done so many projects, so we can ask him based on his projects. And they will ask him questions based on his projects, and they won't ask things that are things that he doesn't know. So when you see it from the interviewer side, they also won't know what to ask you. They will also be looking for something to question you. And so if you do all these, it will help them also ask you questions which you know. Otherwise, they all know that freshers, there's a lot of gap between the academia and the industry. So obviously they will have to train you no matter how much you know. So they'll also be like, okay, if I ask these questions, this person will be able to answer, and this person knows all these things. So that's one main point. That's how you have to frame your resume. You should highlight the things that you know very well. So even in this, you can figure out what all he has done, how much work experience he has, and things like that, without squinting or without looking elsewhere. So these are some of the good resume examples. Okay, so these are resumes that are not generally preferred. So if you see here, it's very hard for you to read what they have written. It's very confusing. Like you have to look at it 2 or 3 times before you understand what they have written. Like also all these are in caps, and there is no proper spacing and things like that. So if we come to this resume, you mostly people don't put a photograph of yourself in your resume because you're not applying for any acting career or anything. So you don't really need a photo unless the company asks you to put a photo. And if you see here, he has done so many graphics. So all these graphics catch the interviewer's eye, and they won't be able to see what his work experience is or what his education is. It's very hard to find these work experience and education from this resume. You don't see it as soon as you look into it. So avoid such fonts and avoid such graphics in it. Also, if you see this, the progress bar, rather than the names of the skills he has, you see these progress bars are highlighted. So make sure you don't use very bold colors like red and other things to make your progress bar, even if you do. So make sure it goes with the resume, and make sure you highlight your work experience and projects if you have any in your resume. So this is our presentation. Like if you have any questions, we would like to take it up.
Even though all of the things we mentioned might seem very simple, we tend to make a lot of mistakes, and I think myself have made a lot of these mistakes. So keep seeing it again and again, and keep updating it, and that's what we want to say. And if there are any questions, we can take it up now or later, since I think you might have a test. So we could take it up now, or as shown, there was an email given, so you can email us also.
Yes, we are actually running short for time.
Okay.
And thank you so much, Deepshikha and Anaga. It was a very insightful presentation, and I'm sure most of them would have benefited. And let me tell you that Deepshikha and Anaga have also volunteered to help you one-on-one in case you need help with making your resumes. So you're always free to contact them if you need more help. Okay, and they'll be more than happy to help you all. Please remember, we are here to help you all and ensure that all of you have placements. Okay, that is a whole motivation for doing this exercise. Any questions here? Any